Inside the Birds is back. What's going on, everybody? Geoff Mosher here alongside Adam Caplan. Adam, it's going to be our second free agency show because people can't get enough free agency.
Apparently.
I mean, yeah, you know what? You laugh. We should really take 1 second here to thank everybody because we had a record-setting podcast when we came back from Indianapolis. Or no, we were in Indianapolis. We did our free agency preview from there, and then it just exploded. So obviously we both, and you especially, got a lot of notoriety for the Byron Jones scoop. So we're really happy that we got great feedback on it and that people really listened. So that was fantastic.
I appreciate it. And WIP, Elliot Shore Parks, our friend there, and John Barchard, and Marks and Reese, and my God. And then, by the way, Comcast Sportsnet 2 days, they've mentioned me. It's cool. I appreciate it.
No, it is.
I'm sorry, Sports Philly.
Yeah, we appreciate them. We appreciate the listeners and the feedback. And obviously, we launched the website, InsideTheBirds.com, and we got even more great feedback from that. So I just want to thank everybody. And if you haven't checked out InsideTheBirds.com yet, please do. It's finally been launched. It's there. I suggest you sign up to get the email newsletter because we're eventually going to start communicating with our viewers and listeners through email. And we're going to be able to answer more ITB questions in stories. We can do mailbag stories because we don't always get to them in the
great point, Geoff. Yes, I'm going to do a mailbag show with Geoff, and we're just going to answer them. Geoff and I go back and forth in email. That's an awesome point, an awesome deal. This way, so we don't kill time here on our show because we have so much to get to. But we really appreciate the feedback, and we've picked up, I would estimate 1,500 new subscribers based on our analytics. It's really, I don't know what else to say that we appreciate it. Really, it's pretty awesome. We appreciate, as Geoff said on our last show, the filling out the response, your comments on Apple, on wherever you get shows, and we really appreciate the feedback. And it's very clear you want information. This is why we created this show, and we're giving it to you. So let's do it.
Awesome. Right before we get into this, and I want to make one more announcement, and I think you and I are both really excited about this.
Oh yeah.
And we're announcing it here on the podcast before it's even on social media. So some of our listeners will get it before it's out on Twitter or anything like that. But Adam and I and the ITB crew, we are going to host an NFL draft first round watch party at Frankfurt Hall in Fishtown, which is a really bustling, thriving area, a real great area for people to come out and have some beers and watch the draft and be a part of the ITB experience. We're going to have a show with, I cannot confirm or deny it's somebody who's got some connections to the Eagles, but it's going to be someone who's got connections to the Eagles, and it's going to be a great show. So we're going to
we have one guy, Geoff, that there are like 5 people on our list. Our number one target, you'll know why, how great it's, if he says yes. I don't know why he won't, but I haven't got him on the phone yet, but I'm trying feverishly. No matter what, it's going to be great, and it's going to be, we're going to announce where it is, when, details. It's going to be on draft night, Geoff, is that correct?
Yes, it is going to be, Andrew.
April
23rd. No, it's okay.
Andrew, that's my brother's name.
Oh, I thought maybe you were confusing me with Greg Cosell.
No. I talked to someone earlier named Greg. And by the way, happy birthday, my mom. She turned 90. It's awesome.
Oh, that's great. Happy birthday, Mrs. Caplan.
Yes, she looks great. Amazing.
So, April 23rd, 7 o'clock the show will start. And 8 o'clock, obviously, 8:15, whenever the draft starts. We'll be there for the draft. The whole first round. And then afterward, we'll do a podcast from there. So it's going to be a great evening at Frankfurt Hall in Fishtown. Stay tuned to @InsideBirds on Twitter for more details on that. All right, let's get into it now.
Let's do it.
We got a lot to talk about. I want to start with the offense, Adam, because last podcast was we did it comprehensively, but the big thing for people and listeners was Byron Jones. Let's talk a little bit about the offense because
please do. Yeah.
Wide receiver is an area that needs to be addressed, and it's not something you can just draft your way to success. I mean, you do need to draft some, but I'm just talking about to be competitive in 2020. They need to have a plan here. And even if they're going to draft the kid in the first round, they may not get that speed kid that they're looking for, especially Henry Ruggs. So they're going to have to do something in free agency, Adam. And we've talked about some names, but I'm wondering if you have kind of a better idea now on how the market's going to unfold for Robby Anderson and if you think the Eagles would be involved.
Yeah. All right. So let's start with Robby Anderson, and we'll get to Mari Cooper and some other guys.
Mhm.
My sense is and you saw me, you and I were working together for 2 days, and you kind of saw what I was doing.
Mhm.
I would get the sense that they're not in the Cooper race, they're not in the Anderson race. I don't think they're going to be in the first round of signings of receivers. I'm talking about, look, they're only two high ends. It's Cooper and Anderson.
Right.
Barring it would be a major surprise to me if they get in there. You could never say never. The Eagles were, and we talked about this before. Amari Cooper got benched against them. I mean, that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible talent. It's a lot of money. Oh, by the way, so with Cooper, I'm looking at my notes here. The reason why they pursued him and offered him a second round, the Cowboys or the Raiders a second round pick. Mike Groh recruited him to Alabama.
Right.
That was a big reason why because he knew him.
Mm-hmm.
Mike was such a phenomenal receivers coach. They thought they could handle Mari. Mari's a great guy,
Right.
but sometimes he just goes into a shell and just doesn't play as well.
That's correct.
So I don't expect that to even if he doesn't get tagged, I don't expect it to happen. Them to be in the race, and I do not expect them to be in the Robby Anderson race. Now I know your question would be, well, wait a minute, weren't they involved with them last year? Did they want him? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The money's going to be pretty significant, and now Robby can run, no doubt, and he had a good year, by the way. I'm also told by Jet source that he great chemistry with Sam Darnold.
Mm-hmm.
That's important. The Jets, I'm told, also want him back.
Mm-hmm.
But the Jets, Geoff, on his situation, it's going to come down to what he wants, and they're going to have a number, and if it's above it, they're not going to be in the Robby Anderson race. But he definitely had a good year, and he's matured a little bit. But you always worry about guys who earlier in their career were not so mature. How are they going to handle all this money?
Mm-hmm.
You got to be careful. So anyway, look, the Eagles.
Let me ask you this: Do you think that the deep draft wide receivers, the great class that is ahead of us, will impact his ability to get a big deal in free agency?
No, because he could run. There are only two true speed receivers in this draft, and you know who they are. They're Ruggs, who just, oh my God, what can I tell you now?
Ruggs and Hamler. That's
it. And my guy Hamler. So who will go from 20 to 40, that area.
Mm-hmm.
The earliest I think he literally would go would be the Eagles at 21. I don't know where they're at on him. We're gonna have some pretty interesting information on him and other players that the Eagles are targeting or maybe targeting or closer. We're in a free agency net right now. So, look. They're not the secondary market is what I call the second group. I don't think they would pay $8 to $10 million for Brashad Perriman. It's not a secret. I love this kid. I think it's a great story. I know about the injury history. I know about the drops, but he really stepped up for the Bucs. Good kid. I just don't think they want to pay a ton of money.
Wow, that's unfortunate because I thought Brashad is a guy who maybe doesn't get a good contract because of the question marks, almost like Alshon Jeffrey-ish, except he's younger when he hits free agency, but he has just as many question marks as you mentioned, the drops, the injuries, the fact that it took him quite a while. And I almost wondered if Brashad was going to be the type of guy that bets on himself with a 1-year deal, just like Alshon Jeffrey did with the Eagles, to try to get a better contract this time next offseason. And in that case, I feel like the Eagles would be aggressive because they would only be 1 year.
Yeah, but see, Geoff, you got the way that the Eagles are looking at this thing is there's a reason why these guys are making it to free agency, that they're testing it. You just outlined very well Brashad Perriman's issues in terms of drops and injury history, though he's put a lot of that behind him. Amari Cooper not showing up at the right time in terms of really playing well when they need him to play well, though he's so gifted. Oh my, if you and I graded, all 32 teams receivers in terms of raw talent. I mean, he's top 3, man. This guy's a stud as a talent. Look, the Raiders didn't want him. Okay. Right. Not a fact. I remember talking to the Raiders. They were very aggressive in trying to move him. So, Robby Anderson, we talked about. Emmanuel Sanders, we've talked about. Philip Dorsett could run, but he had a bad year. There's no question about that. Now, Taylor Gabriel was cut. He's not going to cost you very much. He had a great contract with the Bears. He could run. He's more a gadget player. Brashad Perriman, Geoff, he's not shown the ability to play, 70% of the offensive snaps for a team yet. He just is not. He's not that guy.
Well, doesn't that make it a little more likely that he's not going to get the contract he seeks? I feel like he's perfect to take a 1-year prove-it deal because no one's really going to blow him out of the water. Robby Anderson's going to get overpaid.
You say that. I don't know that yet. We have 2 weeks left.
Uh-huh.
I don't know that about him. He's again, maybe it's just me. Okay, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm overrating this guy, but he's such a great story of people thought they were done with him. I mean, people thought teams had enough, drops and injuries, but other than him, look. If Drew Rosenhaus's agent can't get him, look, he could do a 1-year prove-it deal for $5 million, but he just did that. He just did a prove-it situation.
Yeah, but that's because he had to do that. I mean, he was coming off. He had 16 catches in 2018 for 340. Then he signed a 1-year prove-it, and while he did well, 36 for 645 and 6 touchdowns. I don't know that merits a whole lot of money.
You might be right. Look, it's fair. I'm with you. But I've not. For the record, I've not heard the Eagles on him.
Interesting.
My understanding is, it has been for a while, that they're going to go heavy draft, at least 2 receivers.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we're ways away from the draft. I just feel that they're going to play it smart and start developing, their young receiver core and build them with Carson.
Right.
That's really what they wanted. They want him to grow with receivers he's going to be playing with. And hopefully that includes Whiteside, obviously, Arthega-Whiteside.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be on the roster, but he's, as I said in the last show, he's got to prove himself. Greg Ward, okay, I got a lot of questions on him. I know you and I are probably going to do an article taking everyone's questions.
Yeah.
But I just want to – people are like going – they think like he's the slot receiver. Folks, he's a great kid and great story.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many times did this guy get caught by the Eagles?
Yeah, I don't think anybody is going to be upset if the Eagles upgrade over the position. But, I mean, clearly Greg Ward's earned himself an invite, back to
Hampton. Well said. Yeah, I just wanted to – I'm seeing I don't get to answer a lot of questions on Twitter anymore, and people are, like, blowing me up. Why won't he be the slot receiver? Look, folks, he's going to be – I get the question because he did so well. What a nice kid. Great story. He's going to be in the mix for a roster spot and the slot position. If he doesn't win it, he'll be a backup. If he's not good enough, he won't be on the team. That's just where it is.
Yeah,
their receiver position is dreadful right now. It's the worst position on the team. It's not arguable. It's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
As bad as linebacker is, it's even worse at receiver.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to have to rebuild it, and they know that. Look, this if you listen to Howie Roseman in the I don't know how many interviews he did, 5 or 6 at the combine and around that, you could just hear what he's saying. They're clearly going to attack not free agency, but really just trying to help him.
Right.
And I think he really wants young receivers. That's kind of my read on everything.
All right, let's transition to quarterback because we only got into the contract other than Carson Wentz and Kyle Lauletta. And we'll see Nate Sudfeld is going to be a restricted free agent.
No, he's unrestricted.
I'm sorry, an unrestricted free agent. So he's basically going to test the waters there as well. I know everybody is getting excited about Nick Foles. First of all, I'm not convinced Jacksonville's really going to get rid of him. But secondly, why don't you and I just do our best right now to let everyone know there is no Nick Foles could be on the street right now with no contract and only looking to play for a penny, and I don't think the Eagles would be bringing him back in.
He's not coming back. Okay, I don't know. I mean, I know people made it. I said something on the WIP was doing a poll, and I said he's not coming back. I just was having fun with it. It's not happening. No way, no how. Jacksonville, look, they're going to try everything they can. Internally, they want Minshew to be the guy, and he's an unbelievable story. This is crazy. Like, okay, this is going to take 20 seconds. Nick Foles' base salary of $15.125 million is fully guaranteed. Okay, they have $500,000 in per game roster bonuses total for the season. So that's $15.625 million. It's got a workout bonus, very close to $16 million they owe him. Oh, by the way, here's another little nugget that's not out there. Here's the real nugget.
Oh boy,
what a contract he got, and good job by Justin Schulman, his agent.
Yeah.
But I know, look, Tom Coughlin was the guy who wanted him, by the way. I'm told by multiple sources. He's no longer there. Foles' $5 million roster bonus becomes fully guaranteed. His $5 million roster bonus for 2021, it's called an advance guarantee.
Right.
Becomes fully guaranteed on March
3rd day of this year. Yeah.
Yes. Right. They did an advance guarantee, which is, I don't know why.
Yeah. So if he's on your team this year, he's definitely making $5 million a year
folks,
later.
Look. I don't see how in the hell anyone would take Nick's contract. The player you'd like to have, the contract you'd not. Unless it's a Jadeveon Clowney deal where the Jags pay other teams to take it, they're going to take half of his contract. That's a different story.
Yeah, let me ask you though, Adam, because don't you think, contract aside, money aside, that the Eagles probably wouldn't bring Nick Foles back anyway? I mean, they just dealt with a year of anonymous quotes that people like Foles better than Carson Wentz, and it seemed like Carson finally played his best when he was with his no-name practice squad guys. Now you bring Nick Foles back, and you got that whole specter. I just don't think the Eagles want anything to do with that.
Look, they'll never. They love Nick. I mean, you have no idea.
Yeah,
I mean, you know,
right.
Just as well as I, if not better. You cover that team very closely. Before you left Comcast Sportsnet, you were in that building. You know how much they love Nick.
Yep,
it's really one of the most remarkable stories. I mean, and by the way, when Nick was drafted, they wanted Russell Wilson. There was never any talk during that draft they were going to draft Nick. It's just the board. They drafted him a little bit earlier. It was Andy Reid had personnel control. They actually drafted him earlier than they didn't go really by their draft board. Andy wanted a quarterback and they took him. So anyway, no, they don't want Nick. It's not that they don't want Nick back. They just want to move on. Jeff nailed this. I have really nothing else to add. You nailed it 100%.
Yeah,
good job.
They just got to move on. And we'd be remiss if we didn't mention that this happens to be a very good year if you need a backup quarterback. I mean, Colt McCoy, Case Keenum, Joe Flacco, we'll see what happens with Mariota. I mean, you could come out of this thing with a pretty good backup quarterback who's had more than a modicum of success in this league.
Yeah, they've loved Case Keenum. I probably put on our show a year ago, but Case Keenum is a guy that I think is going to cost a little bit of money. Now you're right. There are going to be a lot of guys out there, but the high end backup market or Bridgewater, I think he's got a chance at $10 million. Look, if the dominoes work out for him and these teams don't get who they want, could he get a better deal than $10 million a year? Could he get a starting deal? Sure, a lot more than that. 18 to 20 million, sure. But right now, the teams that I've talked to about him, they love him. But I just see him as a high-end backup. Mariota needs further development. He needs to be retooled with his mechanics. The Eagles, the way that here's the way I look at it. They love Josh McCown. He'd be the backup if had he not had the injury, but he's not going to know until June. And talking to people who've talked to him the last week or so, Josh doesn't know yet because he just doesn't know if he's going to play or not because the rehab is arduous. This is a pretty significant surgery that the hamstring to be reattached. It's a pretty big deal here. So, Nate Sudfeld, here's the problem. That as much as they love Nate's never started an NFL game, I believe, Jeff, right?
No, he has never. Wait, did he start the final game? No, he did not start that game. They played Nick Foles for a quarter or like two.
But understand, right? But understand this. Carson's injury history, although it's unbelievable. Most people don't know this. Carson was only listed on the injury report once in week 3 with a right hand injury, and he didn't miss. He took all his reps. Yeah, Nate has never started an NFL game. He is only played in 3 and 4 years. He's only made He's only had 25 attempts in his career. They just can't. I get the feeling that they don't want to go in. With Nate being the backup when he's never started an NFL game. That's just it's for a team that is going to make the playoffs with this coaching staff. They're with that quarterback, with that offensive line, with the changes they're making on defense. We'll get into that. I've got more on that. We just don't have the time tonight.
Right.
But we'll get into that in the offseason or off-season shows. It's going to be a very good football team, but they gotta get the receivers thing we just talked about, which we'll move on from.
Yeah.
Quarterback, I think you got it right. Now, if Case Keenum's willing to take a lot less money, they'll be in the business with him. But Teddy's going to be too much money. Forget Tannehill, no way. Jameis way too much money, and we'll see what happens with the Bucks. Josh is hurt. Matt Moore would be a great one, but talking to his agent Lynn Lashbrook, he doesn't know if Matt wants to play again. What an unbelievable story.
Did you go to the conference in Indianapolis? Is that how you talking?
No, I did not. I did not. I love Lynn though. Big fan of he and his wife. Chad Henne.
Real quick, do you know who was at that conference in Indianapolis conducted by Dr. Lynn Lashbrook? For our listeners, Lynn Lashbrook is an agent, and at the Combine every year he does like a conference, which is pretty cool. I mean, he addresses a lot of different issues in sports, and at this year's conference was one other than Dee Lynam.
Really?
Yeah, she was on my flight back from Indianapolis to
cool.
Philly. And I'm like, what are you doing here? And she's like, I was asked to speak at some conference. And she's like, I can't remember the guy's name. I'm like, let me guess. Lynn Lashbrook. She goes, yeah, that's the one.
Look, you said Trevor Siemian, who's a good backup.
Yeah, that's another one.
Be healthy. Yeah, he's going to be healthy for the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Flacco, the Broncos are going to cut him.
Right.
Joe, by the way, he's from Haddonfield or something like that.
Audubon.
No, you're right. He's from Audubon. About it. Yeah. He's from New Jersey. We'll see. Forget Taysom Hill's most likely going to get a first round tender.
No, I just think that with the market this good, that you're going to get a backup quarterback who's pretty veteran, pretty established, and you may not even have to pay as much as you have been in the past because they've been paying a lot for Chase Daniel.
Right. To sum it up, that's what I was going to say. They want a veteran quarterback who started a bunch of games. That's my understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Checking around the league here at the Combine. So that's it. That's pretty much it. We'll narrow down the name or names. They have to see because look, these are good backups. You mentioned they're real good backups. Chad Henne has always been it's funny. Flacco and Henne were at the same Senior Bowl, and actually, I used to joke with Joe that Henne was better than him in that Senior Bowl, but I digress.
Good digression on that. Yeah. All right, let's break because we're going to talk about defense. But first, I want to thank our friends at PHLSportsNation.com. Always enhancing the fan experience with their coverage of the Flyers and the Sixers and the Phillies and the Eagles. And boy, some Philadelphia. I mean, if we take the Sixers out, certainly the Flyers and the excitement here over the Eagles and Phillies about to start. Now is a good time to go to PHLSportsNation.com and check out all their great coverage. Listen to their podcasts. They are great affiliates. We thank them. And real quick, Adam, we're going to pause for a word from our other great sponsors. Hey, it's Geoff Mosher. Adam Caplan and I love using Anchor for our Inside the Birds podcast every week. It's so user-friendly, anyone can create their own podcast, and you should too. Just download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Anchor gives you everything you need to start your own podcast from your phone or computer. Its creation tools allow you to record and edit your podcast for a professional sound, and Anchor will distribute your podcast for you to Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and so many other platforms. It can be heard by everyone, just like Inside the Birds. You can also make money from your pod with no minimum listenership. What are you waiting for? Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to create your podcast today. Hey, it's Geoff Mosher. Are you interested in money? Yep, I thought so. Well, on the Talk Money with Mesh Lakhani podcast, Mesh will follow paper trails, chat with experts, and break down complex ideas to bring clarity to the mystical financial phenomena and help listeners uncover the story behind their money. Each of these compelling stories will hit a broad range of subjects ranging from buying Bitcoin, dealing with student debt, and everything in between. So if you're interested in money, and I know you are, check out the Talk Money with Mesh Lakhani podcast on Anchor. All right, let's get into the defensive side of the ball because we both have some pretty interesting information here that we didn't have a couple of days ago. Let's attack the D-line a little bit because since we left Indianapolis, the big news, I guess, in free agency, which is not a great pass rusher market. After Clowney, there really isn't a bunch of big-name pass rushers out there, but it appears that the Jaguars, and please correct me if I say it wrong, Adam, Yannick Ngakoue?
No, Yannick Ngakoue.
All right, that was close. Yannick Ngakoue are headed for a divorce. Now he's going to get franchise tagged, correct?
100%. I'm told we're dropping this Thursday morning. It hasn't happened yet, but they don't have to. They could wait. Mm-hmm. Yes, Yannick, and I was told just to go by his statement. It's a shame because Dave Caldwell drafted him. He drafted him before Coughlin got there, and there were some issues with his contract. They never. They just didn't get a deal done. They weren't close, I'm told, last fall. So, we'll see if the Jags are not willing to trade him right now. We'll see if they change their mind. Clowney's out there. The Seahawks want him back. So what do you got at the end, by the way? There's that, and it's really not a great DN market. I mean, I feel like for the most part, the Eagles, if they want. Here's the thing about DN, Adam, and we talked about this before. They have a lot of numbers there. They have bodies. Now, I don't call that great depth because none of them are established outside of maybe Brandon Graham, and there's question marks about Derek Barnett. And to be fair, Vinny Curry was really their second best pass rusher last year, and it took
them to push him inside and nickel in December for them to get the best out of him. They had to use him correctly.
Yeah. So okay. The word, and I probably mentioned this in passing, but let me explain it in better detail.
Mm-hmm. Now,
there's been changes. Look, the Eagles feel internally that their worst coach position since Doug came in is the defensive line. I get Matt Burke has never coached it before. I checked into that.
Mm-hmm.
He's a strategist. He knows the wide nine better than most coaches because he coached it in Miami. He brought it into Miami, and he's known it because he's a Schwartz protege.
Mm-hmm.
They're expecting this to him from a strategy standpoint to get this thing going. We'll talk more about it when we do off-season shows, past in May and June and all that stuff. So, look, Vinny did a good job. You're right, man. So based on what you've heard, do you think there's a chance he comes back?
Well, he is a free agent, so he's unrestricted. And from a source close to the situation, I have heard that there were a bunch of teams expressing interest in him at the Combine. And a big reason why, Adam, is because of what he did in December. Did you know that he had as many pressures as TJ Watt in December?
Are you serious? Really? That's an unbelievable stat. Wow.
I don't think people realize that he finished second on the team in sacks, and almost all of them came in December. And it wasn't just he was fresh, because he finally got a chance to play on third down. If you go back to 2 years ago when they won the Super Bowl, he was a first down, second down, run down D end, and then they would bring in their NASCAR package, which he was not a part of. And then he went to Tampa. He got hurt. He signed the big deal. He got hurt, got released. Then he came back last year, and again, he was situational. But you remember they were going with Josh Sweat inside in the nickel as their NASCAR package earlier in the year, and it just you got too much sporadic play out of Josh Sweat. So, it wasn't until later in the season they put Vinny in there, and he flourished. And by the way, another thing I picked up in digging into Vinny, he was almost traded.
Oh, is that right? Where? When?
At the deadline. The Ravens showed the most interest in Vinny Curry at last year's deadline, and Howie didn't want to trade him, and Howie turned him down. I was told there was a discussion, though. Yeah, I was told that there was a discussion in which Vinny was informed of it, and if Vinny really wanted to go, they probably would have pulled the trigger. But Howie made it clear they felt they wanted and needed him, and of course they wound up really needing him in December.
Yeah. So before we move on to linebacker and corner, before we get out of here, because if you really think about it, if Curry wasn't there last year, you got Josh Sweat, who certainly improved. There's no question, one of the most improved defensive players, but he's not consistent enough.
Correct.
Avery was barely played. Miller couldn't get on the field. Joe Osman tore his ACL, and Hall never. The thing that the Deshaun Hall thing was a joke. The guy has his. I know he put up crazy numbers in the preseason, but how the hell could he not get on the field?
We were saying that from September on. Jesus. I don't know.
I mean, he's got length. He's fast.
They have so many bodies,
issue, man.
And it's like it's so many bodies, and they just don't know what to do with them, and they need somebody to step up. So I think
bring Curry back.
I think it would be wise. Yeah, I think it would be smart to bring Curry back, and he probably wouldn't cost that much.
And now, when you look at the free agents that are out there, look, you could get the Adrian Claiborne's of the world, the guys in the late 20s, early 30s, come in. Vic Beasley, but I love Vic Beasley, but man, other than that monster year, and he's a speed rusher, which the Eagles could use. He has completely fallen off.
Right, Dante Fowler Jr. is out there, but he's been very, very
but I'm told he's under consideration for tag. So he's going to cost a lot of money. By the way, a lot of money.
What has he done to cost a lot of? I mean, his numbers are not superior by any means.
No, but he definitely improved. He definitely improved after the trade. For whatever reason, he just never got it done in Jacksonville. Fowler's a speed rusher. He played in the 34. Remember he had he needed to grow up and mature a little bit. He had a great year. Look, he had a breakout year with 11.5 sacks, 58 combined tackles. But he'd never done anything before, really. Yeah,
that's true. I shouldn't say what is. I forgot he had the 11.5 sacks.
Great.
He did have a good year with the Rams.
That's why I'm told he's under consideration for the tag. So let's move on, Jeff. So that was
real quick. There is one great thing about Dante Fowler.
Okay.
He was born on August 3rd.
You obviously were born there, or your kids were born there.
That's right. So was I.
Nice. I didn't know that. I'll put that on my Google calendar. Okay.
Do you know who else was born on August 3rd?
No.
The great Tom Brady.
Really? I know he turns 30 in August, 43 in August. Wow.
Yeah.
Holy smoke.
Yeah. We weren't born in the same year.
You know what? I love this useless trivia. This is fantastic.
I am fantastic for useless trivia.
Yes.
Let's go to the back or linebacker safety. I think
corner. And I got to add some at corner too.
Oh, and corner. Yeah. You know what? Let's actually go right to corner because this is a question we've been talking about. We spend so much time on Byron Jones, and one thing that you mentioned in not only in the podcast but also on your radio interviews this week is that when you talk about teams like the Redskins and the Raiders, I mean those are teams that are known for resetting the market with reckless abandon. So what would happen if the Eagles didn't get Byron Jones? Do they go to Bradbury? Do they just?
All right, they're going to have competition. Yeah, we'll get to Bradbury in a second, and I'm going to. In my piece that debuts Thursday morning, I've got more on Bradbury. I've got more on Byron Jones. I got some great stuff. I talked to a coach that worked with Bradbury over the years, a personnel guy with the Panthers, just some great stuff, guys who work with them. There's definitely a distinct difference in both players. There's no question. Look, the Raiders, I believe, are going to make a run at Jones. The Jets as well.
Yep.
Brad, and by the way, the Jets are going to be they're going to be spending money. They got a lot of cash to spend, a lot of cap to spend. Joe Douglas, based on multiple sources, is going to be a little bit more aggressive than I expected. Joe was not a big free agent guy because he's a big Ozzie Newsome guy. Ozzie did not build his team through the draft. It was mostly through the draft, not free agency. But I think he's going to spend a little bit more than I expected. Just checking into with a lot of people over the last couple weeks. But we'll see. Look, as you just said, and it's true, you could want a couple guys, but if they go over your budget, then you're out.
Right.
That's just the way it is. So I think, I got caught. I want to clear up one quote. I can't remember who made it. It was totally erroneous. I never said the Eagles were going to sign him. I said they want to sign him.
Well, anybody who thinks that just because you said the Eagles want to sign Byron Jones means it's happening.
I get Google alerts on my name just to see where I'm being quoted. Make sure. Also, I started doing this when bloggers would screw everything up because I want to know. I want to make sure it's out there correctly. So one of them said, "I said Caplan, Eagles will sign Jones." I never said that.
No.
Yeah.
Nobody.
So,
we can't say that about anything. I mean, that's
how would I know? I don't know. I just know
free agency.
Right. I know teams are interested. I don't know, and I strongly suspect because there are going to be a lot of teams in it. It's going to be at least $17 million. I think my former teammate at ESPN, Adam Schefter, somewhere I saw on Twitter that he was might have been on the Fanatic, $18 million. Okay, well, look, I learned my lesson and I mentioned this on that show with the kid who's on Cleveland, although he may not be there very much longer. What's the DN's name who got traded from the Giants?
Olivier Vernon.
Yes. I had him pegged, I thought, correctly. And then what happened? The 24 hours before the draft, the free agency, two more teams came in and he got $17 million. So, yeah, it could look, teams want to get better. Byron Jones is the most versatile of any free agent. So, there was, okay. Here's the next question. We'll develop this more in our next show on Monday. What happens, Jeff, if they don't get this kid? What do they do?
I feel like Howie is going to make a trade.
Ooh.
I feel like there's, he's done this before in the past, whether it's getting like D'Amico Ryans to shore up linebacker or getting Ronald Darby, for example, in training camp. I do think, though, this offseason, they have, Adam, we've talked about it, they have so many holes. They have only so much money, and especially if they're going to pour 17 or 18 mil into a corner, they're going to have to be creative, and you just can't rely on draft picks. Certainly this team can't, to just step in and be great right away. Howie's strength is finding that player that a team likes but is willing to part with, who's not really young but not really old either. He's done it at linebacker. He's done it at corner. He's done it at D end. He's traded for the guys there too. I do have a feeling that he's looking at a team that is willing to part with a mid-level type veteran player, and will bring it in. I'm listen. This is just a instinct, a hunch. I'm not reporting anything officially, just based on Howie's past tendencies and how many holes this team needs to fix. I feel like there's somebody he's going to find a good partner to do some work with.
All right. So speaking of trades, and you're on the right track. So I'm told by a league source that they were heavily involved in the Darius Slay talks last October. for the trade deadline, and one source thought that it was going to probably get done for a second round, a minimum of a second round pick. I don't know if there was more. The thing is, I don't know why it didn't get done. I don't know if the Eagles were thought that they weren't going to make the playoffs, and why do it. I don't know. It's so long ago, I don't remember. But I am told 100% that it was going to be at least a second round pick. Now, let's fast forward to now. Well, he's on the final year of his deal, $10 million. It's his base salary. There's no guarantees left. Bob Quinn, the GM, is on record saying everything's in play. Extending, trading, him playing on the final year, whatever. As I've said throughout, if you trade Darius Slay, you're going to be a worse football team. They are real bad at corner other than him. Justin Coleman's a real good slot corner, but they don't have anyone left to play on the outside.
Right.
And as I said the other show, the owner, Martha Ford, put it out there. They better be playing meaningful football in December. How are you going to do that without Darius Slay? So you're going to have to get something back. I mean, obviously, they're going to have to replace him in the draft if they trade him. And again, I'm not saying they're going to, but I know this for a fact. The Eagles really liked him last year. I don't know. It sure seemed to me, my sense was talking to teams who were talking to lines that they wanted too much. But how's a second-round pick? Now, if you wanted a 2 and a 4, you're not doing that. If you wanted a 2 and a 7, you might. If you wanted, if it was 2 and a good player, you're not doing that. So I don't know what it was. I just know the Eagles liked him. So maybe that's a scenario. If they can't get Byron Jones, and I need to find out where they are at on the kid from Carolina. Bradbury. Right. Now Bradbury, and again, we're going to outline this in my notes, but he cannot play inside at all. He's a tall corner who's got to play press. The Eagles don't press very much. They play man sides, usually off. I'm told by Panther sources he played off coverage a lot. He was not as comfortable. He loves to use his length and his strength and physicality. Right. So I don't know.
How about this name? I'll give you a name, and you tell me if you think you're not bad, right? Because he's played 3 years in the league now, and he has not yet been extended, although he's just now eligible for it. Right. And I don't know how this team feels about him. Adoree Jackson from the Titans.
It's a good question.
He was a first-round pick. He's been okay. He's struggled at times. He's played all right at times. I mean,
I just don't think he's been consistent enough. They need Byron Jones is not an elite cover. Okay. Very solid cover corner, but incredible versatility. Really, maybe the most versatile corner in the NFL right now.
Right.
James Bradbury is a terrific outside corner. And Byron, you can line him up inside, outside, safety, wherever you want to line him up. Adoree Jackson's a former first-round pick in 2017. It's just, Jeff, you nailed it. It's just not consistent enough. And don't forget, Logan Ryan is their slot corner. He's up. He's a free agent. So they don't – LaShawn Sims was his fourth corner. He's up. Right. They don't have anybody else. It's Malcolm Butler, and that's it. So I don't know.
If the Eagles,
Smith, he's okay. But
if the Eagles were to miss out on getting both Bradbury and Byron Jones, and the Titans are ambivalent on Jackson, they don't think they're going to extend him. They want to wait another year to see if he can be more consistent. And Howie calls and offers a 5th with a condition of 4th for next year, something like that. Maybe there's something there.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. It's fun. Isn't it interesting? We've heard nothing about Darius Slay at all. Any teams about them? We know that he's available.
Right.
That's 100% true.
Right.
But we haven't. Look, maybe it gets done in it. You never know. It could drop any time. But I didn't hear Trey Turner's name, who got traded. What the heck? He got traded on Wednesday. Or they can't. Well, not officially. It can't get done. His name was being discussed, and I was like, really? This guy's a really good football player. So you just never know. But other than that, we'll develop more players for the Eagles. By the way, Prince Amukamara is out there. Problem is, Amukamara is actually how you say it. He's 30 years old. That's not what they want.
No,
they want younger, man.
Younger and faster.
I think, 29. Here's the thing about Slay. 29 this season, 30 year 2, 31 year 3. That's as late. 29 really is as late as you want.
Right.
And even then, they really want to be young. So Trey Waynes, I've not heard any steam with the Eagles. He's a good player, though. It's just a little bit inconsistent.
Yeah.
We'll have more for you, but that's kind of where we're at with Darius Slay.
All right. You just hit the nail on the head. We will have more, obviously, when we get together to do our next podcast. That's going to do it for this one. I want to thank all of our friends, 97.3 ESPN. Make sure you download their free mobile app and check out 97.3ESPN.com. Also, you can find Inside the Birds there. We just had Andrew DeCecco, who's been writing for InsideTheBirds.com on 97.3, going through his first Eagles mock draft that he did for InsideTheBirds.com. It was an awesome mock draft, and Andrew really held himself well on in his interview with 97.3. So that was really fun to have him on. Want to thank our friend Hunter Brody, who helps produce this podcast. You can always check out his YouTube page, Sports Talk with Bros. Now, Hunter's a big Flyers guy, and he's got, I mean, especially lately, the way the Flyers are playing, he's got some awesome YouTube videos showing his hype for the orange and black. And we thank our listeners. They have been great to us. Please make sure you continue to check us out on YouTube. Continue to go to InsideTheBirds.com. Become a subscriber. It's very easy. Ask questions through the Ask ITB module that we put on the website. Please continue to read the stories from myself, from Adam, Andrew DeCecco, and this thing's going to grow, and we're all having fun with it, and we're glad that everybody is appreciating the ITB experience. All right? As always, we thank you for flying with us inside the Birds. If you're listening to this, you obviously like podcasts, and you probably like music too. On Spotify, you can listen to all of that in one place for free. That's right, you don't need a premium account. On Spotify, you can follow your favorite podcast so you never miss an episode. You can download episodes to listen to offline wherever you are. You can easily share what you're listening to with your friends via Spotify's integrations with social media platforms like Instagram. Spotify has a huge catalog of podcasts on every topic, including the one you're listening to right now. Just search for Inside the Birds on the Spotify app or browse podcasts in the Your Library tab. And follow me, Geoff Mosher, so you never miss an episode of Inside the Birds. Spotify is the world's leading music streaming service, and now it can be your go-to for podcasts too.